Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So you can see as of this morning, 1,274 planks still need to be delivered, so they are at the carpentry, but the carpentry doesn't have capacity to bring them in, so they're sitting on the loading dock, and we're waiting for that to get going. So what I'm doing here in the VIP series is using the VIP order manager to move things ahead. If we take a look here, this is what drives this farm. All the work that happens here is focused on keeping these VIPs happy. So the green items are level 16 orders, which is the level we're at now that we have fulfilled. We did this in the last episode, so if you're curious about that, I encourage you to go back. If you don't want to start all the way from the beginning, but you can at least see what we did there. We have oats planted on field 42. Those are growing, and actually, wow, they are ready for harvest, because oats do go quick. But I can't fulfill those oat orders until next time, but I also need oats here for cereal, so I do need this, and I shouldn't say next time. I can't fulfill it until I get all of level 16 done, because if I start to take these over to stews, I won't get credit, because that's not what I'm in right now. So my immediate need, and what I was planning on doing today, is part of cereal is I need some corn. So I need to get some corn in the ground, and then I can go ahead and focus on the oats, because at this point, while it's nice that the oats are ready, there's very little I can do with those oats other than move forward and wait for corn. So corn is my long pole in the tent, as I like to call it. So that's what I am going to focus on right away. So let's take a look. So we've got our strawberries are producing pretty well. Likely going to be taking loads of those over periodically. Whether I get one in today or not remains to be seen. Again, my important thing is getting the corn in the ground. So the farm I'm on is a farm my uncle left me. Let me operate. I shouldn't say left me. I keep saying that. He's not dead. He's around. He's just decided he didn't want to operate this, and when I expressed to him I have interest in farming, he's like, I've got this land in England if you want to head on over and run it. It'll be yours. I'll give it to you, and you can have it. So that's how we ended up here, and the equipment we got mainly is the equipment he gave us. So we have a corn header, as you can see, for our harvester, but what we don't have is a planter. So all we've got is this Fernland cedar, but that cedar does not plant corn. So the other thing I'm looking at here is I don't have anything else that requires any kind of crop, any corn or anything like that. So I think right now investing in a planter doesn't make sense. Alright, so I'm going to make a decision basically based on the fact that I am doing well with my cash. This has kind of gotten me to the point with the VIPs that I can start to try to be time sensitive instead of doing things the hard way, almost like in a survival mode. I can splurge a little bit, I suppose, and get things done as quickly as possible. So there is a direct drill planter, the smallest one I can use, because again, there isn't a lot of maneuverability, but it needs 300 horse. I don't have a tractor that does that, so I need to rent both the tractor and the planter. So this is going to cost me 13,000 pounds. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then this planter, which is 12 meters wide, it seeds directly, so I don't have to cultivate. So I'm going to go ahead and lease that for 7,000. So this rig is going to cost me 20,000 to use for an hour. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get done that quickly. Again, things don't run in real time, but I think I think the calculation does do things in an hour. So I'm going to unfold this, which I think just rotates. Again, having these trees gone is now really going to be a blessing here. But because I don't know how much I need, and right now I don't have anything else I need to do on these fields, I'm going to plant all of these fields in corn. If I have extra corn, so be it. Eventually, maybe I'll, I'll go ahead and sell it if I don't need it. There's things I can do. But obviously, it's cheaper to lease this one time, similar to what I was doing with the sugarcane harvesters and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and lower this down. Obviously, we're going to make sure that we're planting corn. That's what is selected. So we are good there. And we are going to turn this on, and we are going to start planting corn. So there we go. And the benefit is I don't have to take the time to cultivate these fields. Nice, powerful tractor. I can move around. So I had eyed looking at purchasing this. So I did consider it because the way it folds, I thought, well, I can maneuver around the map if I need to, but I don't really have a need for this. And I don't remember if Uncle had something that would have worked and I ended up selling it because we didn't need any crops that required the planter, or if it just has happened to work out that the VIPs aren't asking for that. So I did obviously lease a vehicle with GPS because it would be kind of foolish not to. So that way I can just run up and down the field. So one of the things I did talk about last episode was perhaps linking these fields together. I just don't know that makes a lot of sense because I honestly don't know how frequently this would be needed. Because I may always plant the fields together, but there is something to be said for having things separated. So I'm going to go down here just as I did before. We're going to start this way, and then I will just set my line from that point on. Now the thing that could get incredibly expensive is if somehow it's a game time thing, then I might go ahead and make the executive decision to say, you know what, I'm going to slow things down to real time because I'm not going to incur a cost because of something crazy like that. So, alright, let me go back here. We'll get this set. Let me get the GPS snapped. This should now start planting. Shouldn't move over too much, but I can then get going. I'm not going to worry about that little bit that's sitting off to the side. I don't need every ounce of the field. At this point, it's more about getting what I need done because I only need 8,000 liters of corn. So everything else is going to be extra. It's going to be an extra benefit, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to worry about every piece of the field. I'm quite sure that across 4 fields here, I'll get 8,000 liters of corn. I honestly probably will get it from 1 field, but I don't want to take the chance that corn is much lower yield than I think it is, and then have a situation where I suddenly have to replant and then have to spend $20,000 to rent equipment again. That wouldn't make sense. Because my harvester will harvest, so that's one thing. Like, I don't have to lease a $400,000 harvester, so there is that. But, but I think, like where you can see that 0.1 hours, I think when I get to 1 hour of working time, that is when I would get charged again. So as long as I get done before that, which should be pretty easy, I mean, if you look at how quickly this is going, my biggest challenge would be if I'm suddenly having to go get and refill more seed, but I think I'll be all right. And again, this is obviously purchased seed. I'll go ahead and dump it out of the planter before I return it, because obviously I want to hold on to that. But I'm running this down here. I've got my 2 headlands. That's kind of what I've done, but it's definitely nicer not having whatchamacallit, the trees at all, other than that one tree that I didn't get rid of because I don't need to, but I just didn't have that wood requirement yet. We only needed the first 42,000 liters of wood to satisfy that order. So we need 39,000 liters, so that tree that I look at straight down there, that'll be the first tree to go next. And then I'm probably going to take out some of these pines because they're just frankly easier to deal with. You know, normally I'm not doing anything, and you know, I could easily move over. Like, I'm not really worried about these trees. I mean, in theory they might get in my way here this time, but I think I'll be all right. But yeah, having a tractor with a good set of horsepower, you know, certainly helps. Because what I don't want to do is try to manhandle this equipment, because there's just not a reason to do that. But at this point, now it's just going up and down, and I'm going to imagine this is going to go pretty quickly. So, and then it's just a matter of harvesting the oats, which I'll be able to do on that field. Because it's so large, I typically automate that harvest. Go ahead and use some course play and so forth, because I've harvested the field a few times before, but it's not something that I necessarily need to do. And the goal of this series is more certainly to show you the work periodically, but we've seen things get harvested. I'll probably start a little bit over there, but what I would normally do if I was under a time crunch is I could get that going already, but because I'm going to be waiting for so long on the strawberries, I don't think we're going to have any challenge here. Now, I may end up having a little bit left there, so we'll see how that all comes to play when I come back through. But you can see we're still at 0.1 hours, and we're already flying up and down this field. We're at 83% still with the seeds that we have. I think we'll be in good shape. It'll just be a matter of going ahead and then fertilizing this field as well, because this planter doesn't allow the opportunity to fertilize while we plant. So that would have been the best of both worlds, but I think I would have had to go with something much larger that, again, may have been a little bit unwieldy in what I have here. So while we're doing this, let's talk about the choices and the options we have. So the overarching series decision that I've been asking folks to do for a while, and probably will until the end, because I don't know when someone's going to watch and when they might be willing to comment, is my plan is to use the VIP order manager in most of my single player series, because it gives me, as I said, it gives me a focus of what I'm doing on the farm. It's not just some random yeah, let's decide to plant corn today, or let's decide to plant wheat. Like, I'm planting this corn because I need cereal. I'm planting more corn than I need because I'm renting this equipment, and I don't want to underestimate, because I've never planted corn on any of these fields, so I don't really know if the yield is similar to grain, because those 2 fields up north, for example, typically will give me between 8 and 10,000 liters of grain, depending on the type of grain it is and so forth. And obviously, if I fertilize, because I did forget to do that once, and that didn't help. This field down here will usually do between 15 and 25,000 liters of product. So, one of these fields is probably enough, but there's not really a reason, because there aren't any other crops that I need to grow. Everything's coming from my greenhouses in what I can see. So when I started this series, my goal that I set for myself, because the modder who created VIP Order Manager said they've tested it through level 20, and that it is designed for smaller maps like this. So everything should work fine, and so that was arbitrarily the goal I set, because I'd never used the VIP Order Manager till I started this series, and so I'm like, yeah, I want to experience how this works, what it's going to do to the gameplay. Now, I've seen those results much faster than I expected. I thought, it might take me several levels, but very, very quickly I fell in love with this mod because of the focus it gives you, and to me it just changes the gameplay. It's not me creating artificial goals for myself. Everything I do is focused on what I'm being asked to do, which I think is much more indicative and much more of a simulation of what farmers will do in real life. Like, they choose what they plant based on what they feel there's a market for, what they're going to be able to sell. The VIP orders basically create that dynamic in Farming Simulator for us, as opposed to just having the commodities market in Chicago saying, I want corn, I want soy, I want wheat, and you just grow that because that's what you like growing and that's what grows well in that area of the world and so forth. We at least get some variety because the VIPs change what they want, and we've got a little bit of visibility. So with that said, knowing how many episodes this has turned into to get us to where we're at, the decision I've been asking folks to consider and give me input on is, when I move to the next map and the next, not really the next episode, but the next chapter of the series, and we start over again at VIP level 1, should I go to a certain VIP level, and or is the time on the map or the time that the series runs something that's of more interest? So the real question is, how often are we going to be leaving one farm, heading to another, and just servicing VIPs somewhere else on a different map and getting the opportunity to experience the new map? So right now we're at 60 plus episodes. These episodes come out weekly. They're kind of a weekend, Friday or Saturday thing, but it's one a week. So 60 episodes. We've been here more than a year. And that may be fine. People may be interested enough in that, but obviously, new folks coming in may look at the fact that there are a lot of long-running Farming Simulator series on this channel and be like, well, I'd rather join a channel that is starting a new series or something. So there's a little bit of that, of helping to grow the community so that we all have more chat going on and more comments because we have more people. So that's one of the reasons I'd like to grow the channel for certain, is just more interactivity. But the question is then, should we keep things a little shorter? And so should we target 6 months? Because again, doing it only weekly, I'm not sure that 3 months makes sense, because that would obviously only be about 12 episodes, and I'd have to go back and see where we were in episode 12, but my guess is we were still like level 4 or 5. So to me, that gut-wise, that feels too fast. So I'm kind of thinking 6 months makes sense, because that'll put us in the 26, maybe we go up to 30 episodes, we see where we're at. But we can also then set that, like, knowing, hey, it took us to get to level 16 and start filling those orders. We're at episode 63 or whatever this is. So then if we go to episode 30, we can say, well, that probably would get us to like level 8, level 10. So maybe level 10 is our goal, to say, hey, we're going to complete things through that and go from there. So that's the first kind of decision I'm asking for folks. Overall, what would you like to see these series do, and how often? What's the timeline that you guys enjoy for a series before we move somewhere new? Because I'm certainly even at the point with this now, like I've been here a long time on Riverview. I am comfortable and prepared to say, yep, we're ready to go. So to me, this certainly is getting to the point where it's far enough. But then with this particular chapter on Riverview here, the question now does become, my intent was get through and fulfill level 20 and then say, all right, we're done, we're packing up, and we're moving somewhere else. And that will be determined where we move to when we get there. But so then we'd see in the VIP order manager, we'd see levels 21, 22, 23, 24, because it shows you 4 orders, 4 levels. So not only would we get through level 20, which is kind of where it was tested to, and again, it just may have simulated orders running through. That may be what the testing was. But we'll also see the next 4 levels and see, like, hey, do things really go haywire? Or, if we were to do something somewhere really lengthy, could we keep going past 20? Are we not seeing any red flags that cause us any concern? So the immediate question here is, do I do that? Do I stick to that original plan? Which may mean we've got still 15 or 20 episodes here. I don't know how long it's going to take. I've got some hefty things that have already showed up. Like, we need 464,000 liters of slurry, for example, at one point. I think I've got a trailer that moves 8,000 liters, and I think that may be the largest thing that's available for me to move slurry anyway, unless I suddenly rent a truck or something. Which again may make sense at this point with the amount of money I have, but hauling with the tractor, it's 8,000, so at 8,000 liters, running the loads over to where they need to be delivered, that's usually like an hour of game time that it takes. So you can see that that's going to be days and days of hauling, which again I can automate with auto drive and things like that, so I can have that operating while I'm doing other things on the farm. So that's fine, but it's going to take time regardless of what we do. And the other option is we just get to the point where we can see level 20 and then we potentially wrap up. That would mean we're basically almost there, because once I finish this level, we'll see 17, 18, 19, 20 are the 4 levels, so it'll become visible very quickly. But once again, that these two decisions to me kind of go hand in hand, because if we say, hey, an episode or a chapter of the VIP series, we want to go through level 15, well, then we have our answer. We basically see through level 19. Now, in this case, I do want to see level 20 no matter what, but I'm going to see that once the strawberries are done. Again, that's the gating factor here. I'm pretty sure we're going to have everything we need, including the cereal, produced well before we get 113,000 liters of strawberries through here. Because the strawberries have been growing for, I think, 2 months already, and we don't even have 10,000 liters yet. So to get to 131,000 liters, we're going to need a couple years. And once again, if that's all we're waiting on for the level, I just end up kind of, just moving the days through faster and delivering the strawberries. Like, it's not like it's going to take 26 episodes where we're just waiting for strawberries, so I don't want you confused if you're new. The series doesn't necessarily just do one day an episode. There are episodes I've had where I've moved through 6 to 8 months because I've just been waiting. I think it was just the past level where I was growing. I think it was tomatoes, or it might have been, no, it was, I think it was tomatoes before the lettuce that I just did last time. Was the last VIP order that I had to fulfill, and at the end, it took several months, and so I just did that all in one episode, and we skipped 4 or 5 months at a time. So we can do that quickly, so that's not a problem. So it's more the question of, do you feel it takes that much? And that may be the sweet spot, and I'm okay either way. Like, if we decide, hey, we're going to be on a map for a little over a year, like, I understand that. We're doing that now. It's okay. This map certainly has been entertaining. And I'm not going to worry about that little bit I missed moving around the tree. Like I said, I'm going to have plenty of corn here. It's more the question of getting done so that I don't have a problem with getting the enough corn for the cereal. So, as I said, the decisions are related. It's really, is this too long? Is really the question. Like, is this series, for folks that have been following it or are joining up, you guys are like, wow, 60 plus episodes, that's a lot. That's too much. I know if I compare myself to some of the other popular farming simulator channels, they typically don't get anywhere near this level. Like a Daggerwin or a Farm Sim Guy or whatever, they're normally done maybe in the 40s or the 50s. Those are their long-running series. I mean, there are some, I think, that they've done that are this length or longer, but they're the exception rather than the rule. And then there are other channels which are probably less the ones that I would more compare myself against, because to me they're a different audience. The people that enjoy those channels, like the Squad, Clutch, stuff like that, they're looking, I think, for a little bit more excitement in the presentation and so forth. And being the mature simmer, I'm upfront with you guys. I'm not doing that. Kind of performance YouTube stuff in Farming Simulator. I'm enthused about what I'm doing. I'm entertained by what I'm doing, so I'm interested. But I kind of don't do that fake happiness type thing. Where we're just, and especially some of the channels that are just like over the top loud screaming, making it like, something grand is happening or they're doing something crazy. I'm just operating farms and I'm enjoying the game, and I enjoy the sim of it. That's really the point. But the question is, does this end up being too long? So the point I guess I'm trying to make is, I don't know that comparing myself to anybody makes a lot of sense, because I think I'm somewhat unique in the style I present. It's more of a mature, laid back, you know, just seriousness. I mean, Daggerwind certainly is similar. You know, I try to introduce a little bit of humor here and there, and you know, but his series I would say are more scripted, where you know this is more really just a straight out let's play. So, all right, I've got that. I can now return these. So we'll return the tractor, and we'll return the planter. Alright, and then we've got our seed for next time if we need any kind of crop. But once again, no crop here other than, you know, we might need some stuff, but hopefully our oats will satisfy this to be able to generate flour from that. It's not the most efficient way to generate flour, but it does generate flour. So after we grow our corn, we're going to have to make a decision of, do I have enough to do the cereal, to fill this oat order, and to cover the flour? We may not, because that's a lot between these two. So we'll have to see what we get off field 42 when we harvest that. And again, no crop here, so we literally see no other crops other than the ones we're now growing, unless we need something here. But we also see I've got a lot of straw. I think I already have all of this because I have tons and tons of bales of straw. So it's just a matter of getting them over to the biomass plant. And the slurry is going to be the one that's a little bit more of a challenge. So speaking of the slurry, I'm going to go ahead and grab this, and I'm going to go up. Actually, hold on. I might have a tractor in there. I don't remember if I disconnected. It looks like, yeah, I did. Alright. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to go grab the TMR mixer and go ahead and feed these cows so they can start generating some slurry, because I've only got about 20,000 liters of slurry. So I'm definitely going to need to be moving these along. There's my slurry tanker. So that is the thing that just runs and runs, but it takes a while. And I think my previous slurry requirement that has me have that was 151,000. So this is basically 3 times that, which is a significant amount. And then the other piece here is, like, if I'm now running the cow barn to generate slurry, I'm going to need to generate more straw and so forth. So I may have enough straw to do the order for the VIPs, but I then may run out of straw to keep the cows going, which then means I need to pick up some straw at some point, which I could do from the oats. I just don't know that I'm going to know fast enough. I suppose I can take a little bit of time, do the math. I will do that offline, and then we'll make a decision at that point. But I want to at least not wait to get going, because I frankly don't know what my capacity is. I mean, I know I've seen it in the barn, but I don't recall it because it's been so long. I know, I'm almost positive that 151,000 I could handle, but I don't think I'm going to get 400,000 out of the that barn. So at this point, like, the TMR mixer isn't running anymore right now. I need to replenish it with supplies. I should have silage over there. I have hay out on the field, which I've been using to feed the sheep. So that tends to be how these series work. Is I'm focusing again on that VIP order. So I've spoken for a long time, but hopefully it's you're clear of what I'm looking to get from you guys. How long should these series run? And you can give your input in either play through this level of VIP orders. And so if you're going to go that route, I want to know, it's not a I want to see that order. It's literally we're going to say we're done when we fill when we complete level 10 orders or level 15 orders or whatever level you think is appropriate. You know, and if you think going beyond level 20 is appropriate, that's fine. Like, I just want to hear what people are thinking. Or you can give it to me in duration, which in essence will kind of by necessity translate into number of episodes. So if I'm doing it weekly, you know, a year's worth of episodes is going to be 52 episodes. You know, if you want 30 episodes, that means we're basically going a month, you know, 6 months. But as I said, I think doing anything less than that, I would either have to do something heavily edited and just basically show almost nothing. You know, but once again, you know, I'd like to get audience feedback, like what is interesting for you to watch. Because I don't know, like this is none of the farming simulator videos are really time focused. Like my truck sim videos, I tend to be like, you know, I'm going to stay between 30 and 60 minutes because that seems to be what people want to see. And while I think that is the length of video people want to see kind of regardless, I also know people just tend to skip around if they need to, and there are some people that are on my channel that comment that say they don't care how long the episodes in Farm Sim are. They like them. They kind of leave them playing while they're playing, and so if there's hours, they just let it play for hours. But you know, that's partially why I'm less concerned here. I think it's more as if I've got something to say, there's always something to show in the background, but more the multiplayer series are kind of what you're getting here. This one has kind of gotten a little bit more into general discussion just because I need that information, and I'm trying to, since these are the first few episodes, I'm asking for things. What is it stuck on here? This is not good. Oh, I think it's stuck in the back there. Alright, thank goodness. So yeah, I'm going to need to get that TMR mixer going, but at least this should get the cows going. But there's the straw. And I think each of those bales is 9,000 liters, 11,000 liters. So, you know, 330,000 would be 30 of them. I think I have at least that many, and I need 374,000. So, you know, but now I suddenly need to run this TMR mixer, or I'm going to have a slurry problem. So there's a lot going on, but then this is what might help you to understand when you ask for things and how far should we go. Like, this is what I think ends up being 20 is probably the farthest that it makes sense to go, because I think if we get through that here in this series, and more than likely it'll just be, do I feel like I want to keep pressing on, or am I kind of giving up under the weight of what's going on at that point? You know, I'm going to leave this here. In the past, I went and kind of put it under there, but then I'm always running around a little bit more than I need to be. So we've got the TMR mixer there. Alright, we've got mineral feed. So it's not that. I think we're out of... My guess is we're out of straw. Yep, we are out of straw. Alright, so for now, I've gotten the TMR mixer going again. So it takes 9,000 liters to fill it. Again, it's an 11,000 liter roll. Gone ahead and done a quick inventory. I have at least 50 rolls. So I've got 550,000 liters. So I should be okay for a little while. What I probably don't want to do is bale up a ton of straw. So I don't know at this point that I would do it, because I think I'm going to need another field, or another group of of grain at some point. I'm just going to be amazed if I can fill everything that I need. So while I continue to talk on, I'm going to go ahead and start fertilizing the field. And then that will be what I will cover in this episode, because I'm sure this is more than long enough with how long I've explained the choices. But then we'll worry about the oat harvest later. And this kind of ends up being what it happens in the VIP series too, is there's really nothing here that is causing me to rush and just pack a bunch of things into a given day, because I'm waiting for 113,000 liters of strawberries. But that's what starts to happen here at the high levels, is it does become challenging to get through every level. So this is why I'm thinking of taking some of these trees out, because if I can open that path up, take the four nearest ones out, that'll make it a lot easier to get down here and so forth. So I'm gonna set the line, but again, I'm gonna go across the top here. And now obviously this is a little easier to deal with than the other areas were, but this is a pretty wide width spreader, so this doesn't take very long. It's just a matter of, am I going to have enough to get done? I think I have a little bit of fertilizer in that silo if I need more than 4,000 liters, but I'm also hopeful that we're going to be in good shape here. But we may not be. So it all remains to be seen. Alright, so I'm going to shut that off, and again I'm going to go down and we'll get that done. But yeah, we need quite a bit for corn, as you can see. So let me see, looks like I need to move over a bit, so I'll get that changed over. So we should be good here. But yeah, so basically this episode's a little out of the ordinary because I spent a lot of time getting into a lot of detail of the why and kind of what to think through, what I've been thinking through in the decision. So if it matters to those of you that it matters, where I weigh in on this is starting to seem a bit long. So I'm not sure that doing this normally is the best result. Again, this was the first time I've tried the VIP order manager, so I set that goal of 20, and I'm certainly going to see level 20. I'm still thinking I'm going to work through level 20 here on Riverview. So my intent right now, unless I get a resounding chorus of no's from people, like, no, you need to end it, you need to go somewhere else right now, that I'm gonna press on and get that done here. It's highly, highly unlikely that I will do more than that. There's a possibility, that I could get there and be like, hey, it's just getting really interesting for some reason at this level, and I'm going to press on through 21 and 22. The goal was never, we're definitely going to stop at 20. It was, this is what we're going to do as a minimum, and if we get further, then we get further. That was always an option. It was never really stated that way, because I did feel that 20 was going to be a bit of a slog in some cases. And so that's in essence, when we get down to the nuts and bolts of it, that's really part of what this is this exactly that it's become not entertaining, and you guys are like, all right, I'll tune back in when he does something different, but I've seen enough at this point. To me, the map has enough variation, it's interesting, you know, I enjoy it and so forth, so it's still fun for me to be doing this. And certainly as we get to change the farm a little bit as the trees come out, like it creates a lot of different dynamics that we're seeing right now, where, you know, I don't have to worry about those trees in the middle anymore. I mean, last time I was harvesting, I had to close the pipe a couple times because the harvester was close. When I harvest this corn, I'll just be able to go up and down here. It'll be easy. Easier. So the VIP orders drive all that. But at this point, yes, my intent is to work through level 20. Now again, I may see the level 20 orders come up and say, no, I'm not going to do that. That could happen. There was a significant pivot at one point here, and I learned my lesson, and it's one that I will use in the other VIP series going forward. Things like sugarcane, probably more so than root crops, because I'm not necessarily opposed to potatoes and sugar beets to some degree. But sugarcane is hard. It's specialized, fully specialized equipment. Not that root crops aren't. Whoops. But just the way you harvest it and so forth. And then the fact that there's not really a place to store it. There's just a lot of things that kind of put me off of sugarcane. I did it because I initially didn't modify the VIP order manager, and the VIP order manager basically takes whatever's available on the map and makes it fair game, and it's randomization and what the VIPs need. But there is a way to basically then modify that and say, I don't want you to create any of these type of orders. So I've made some changes where I know I shouldn't get anything that I just would absolutely be like, there's no way I'm going to do it. But even the sugarcane level we had, and I think that was back in like level 8 or 9, it was hard at that level. And I could only imagine if that was still there and like I got a level 20 sugarcane order, it would probably be millions of liters. Or hundreds of thousands of liters for sure, and that would just be a lot. So, you know, but I still do reserve the possibility, obviously, where I may be like, I'm just unwilling to do that. Like, we're gonna call it here. You know, but at that point in the series here, I had gone ahead and I was upfront about what I did. Was like, yeah, I'm taking these out, and obviously the production's related to it. So that's why, again, we're never going to get asked to create sugar at the sugar mill anymore, because that would require growing and harvesting sugar canes. So like all the production chain stuff that is related, same thing. Like, we're not going to get cakes because we'd need sugar, and there's not a way to get sugar another way. So, but, you know, that would be my thing. And then going forward, my feeling is something less than 20. I just don't know what that is. Oh, I got a piece of a tree there. I think I ran over that before. Alright, I went ahead and threw that into the woods, so we're all good. But I'm trying to remember, because yeah, I think with these little bits like this, it does still take a good amount. This is not a variable width spreader, so it just throws that fertilizer out at that point regardless of the little bits. So I'm going to have the same problem on the other end of the field, where I may start running short of fertilizer here because I'm not going to have enough. I'm thinking I'll be okay, because again, didn't quite have 4,000, and we've done all of this, and I basically have now 2 more passes, so I think I'm going to be alright. but if not, I'm gonna just miss it. Obviously, I think this is a larger section here. So we'll get this part done, and then I'll go do the other side. I skipped that on purpose because, you know, it might be one of those where, once again, I don't need a ton of corn right now. Now, you know, again, it's going to be Murphy's Law that if somehow I didn't, that something will come up in level 20 where I need a ton of corn or something. But if I was gonna like leave this strip unfertilized because I wasn't gonna go get fertilizer, for example, you know, at least I would have had that option. But we'll be good here because clearly we were at 700 or 800. We did about half the field. We're not going to use 600 to finish. Be a couple hundred, it looks like, but that'll be it. Alright, so at this point, we're complete. I did take a peek at the silo there. I've got 9,000 liters of fertilizer, so basically more than double what I just used. So, short of fertilizing the oat field again, and now I'm panicking a bit. Did I fertilize the oat field? It's possible with everything that was going on that I forgot. That could make life really interesting. That'll be the second time this happened on this series, so it'll be a little disappointing, but it is what it is. So, I have not. So, not thrilled. The good news is I'm still going to get a decent yield out of here, but yeah, it's not going to be great. But, you know, I still, because this was such a high producing field, even when it's bad, I'm still getting, you know, because I have sometimes like these little red spots. You can see I'm still 97%. I could get basically a 25% improvement on that if I had recalled, but I was so focused on getting everything else done. I was moving forward through the days, and I forgot that I hadn't fertilized, which is exactly why I did what I did now, to avoid a similar fate. So, we'll see what we can do, because, yeah, I was getting about 120,000 when I did canola. I got about 120,000 liters off that field, and that, I think, was with fertilization. So, it could get interesting, because rough estimate, I'm going to need 8,000 liters here. I need 69,000, so let's round this to 70. So I need 78,000, but then this is almost 1-for-1. So I think, yeah, if I'm generating oat flour, alright, so I get a little bit more. So it's 15 oats, gives me 19. So probably 35. So I need like 100,000 liters off that field to probably have any hope, but I already have 3,500 liters of flour. So I really only need, say, 36,000. So I'm probably closer to 30,000. So I'm right about the 100,000 mark, 110,000. So yes, I may be kicking myself for having forgotten to fertilize that field, and now it's too late because it's ready to harvest. But the good news is oat grows in 4 days, and, you know, the better news is, you know, I'm going to be in the same position. I'm going to be waiting for lettuce to harvest there. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to sign off at this point. There's potentially other things like the dairy, figuring out where the cheese situation is. I should get some milk over. I think we have plenty of milk available to go ahead and get over to the dairy. And I know cheese takes a while from having done it in FSN. So I probably want to get going on that so that I have enough cheese, and that doesn't become my issue. But as I said, the lettuce took months and months and months to grow, so I think that's going to take me the longest amount of time. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. It was definitely not a normal one, so for those who are new, I'd encourage you maybe look at some others before you write me off here, because I will be upfront. I did probably cover more than what I wanted to in the stream of consciousness of the decision I wanted you to make. So I'm going to just keep that simple in the future, and if people have questions, I'll just maybe encourage them to ask if they're looking for clarification on how to make a decision or whatever. But so there was less about the work, less focus on the work, and therefore a lot more time in this episode than there normally is. I think these episodes for this series are usually significantly shorter than this one will turn out to be. But once in a while this happens, and this happens to be the time. So I'm going to wrap this up at this point, and I will see you next time.